Hello and welcome to Mindscapes, our series of conversations with men and women whose ideas, vision and philosophy define our contemporary world. My guest today is a unique and remarkable person. She's considered by more than 30 million people around the world as divinity. She's inspired numerous welfare projects, hospitals, schools, educational institutions, a pension scheme for more than 50,000 destitute women. She's embodied ecumenical dialogue and the highest aspirations of humankind. I'm delighted to welcome Mata Amritanandamayi. Welcome. Mother, what is your essential teaching for mankind, if you had to say it in a few sentences?
Be honest with oneself and have faith. Optimistic faith and Shraddha are the qualities required to succeed in life. Such a person alone can do good work for society and the world as a whole.
You inspire so many social work and welfare projects from your love and from your compassion for humankind. In a world where there is so much immorality, there is so much corruption, how have you ensured that your many projects work so well and so efficiently?
People who hold responsible positions in various institutions and social service projects of the ashram maintain a pure mental attitude towards the work they perform. Therefore, up till now, the moral values have not degenerated. They work selflessly, and hence the ashram is able to serve suffering humanity to a certain extent.
Millions of followers believe in your divinity. What does it feel like to be divine?
To become God is to become a real human being. Everyone is God, but people don't realize this great truth due to a lack of awareness. They will neither be able to experience divine bliss within, nor will they be able to express it in their actions. A life without awareness is an unconscious life. A human form which others can relate to is very much needed in order to develop this awareness in people who are in search of the truth.
Does Amma herself, what is her practice as someone who is divine? Does she pray to a god? How does she practice her divinity?
Amma knows everything to be the Atman alone. Still, to set an example for others, Amma observes all spiritual and ethical values in her life. Only when we practice the values in our lives will we be able to inspire others to follow them in their lives. I don't have a message higher than my own life.
Who are the gods and goddesses that Amma herself worships?
You are all the forms of my worship, my gods and goddesses.
Many religions preach peace and tolerance. Most religions preach peace, divine love, tolerance, and yet there is so much conflict in the name of religion. Amma has been a votary of ecumenical dialogue between religions. How does she see the relationship between religions?
Those who are the cause of religious conflicts do not have an in-depth understanding of religion. Religion is only an intellectual exercise for such people. For them, religion is nothing but another form of business, like running a factory.
Does Mother believe in the unity of religions, but yes, on the everyday practice we see religion in its social context to be different? How does Amma reconcile the apparent difference in religions with the apparent unity in religions?
Today people are ready to die for their religion, but are not ready to live up to the essential principles as taught by the exponents of that religious faith.
At one level, all religions preach the same thing, that love and compassion and higher aspirations of faith. But at the everyday level, religions are very different in social practices. So how can we bring about greater understanding between the religions?
The weather may forecast rain. It may say it will rain at such and such a time. However, we won't get any water if we squeeze the newspaper. Only when it rains will we get water. Likewise, a mere study of scriptures will not bring peace and unity amongst religions. Only by living these values will unity be surely established.
Though there is some convergence in recent thinking in the relationship between science and spirituality, the conclusions of modern science are often at odds with the conclusions of spirituality and religion. So how does Amma reconcile science and spirituality?
Scientific advancement is essential. Science deals with one plane, whereas spirituality deals with another. Science air conditions the external world. Spirituality air conditions the internal. There is a limit to where science can reach, to where our intellect and logic can take us, because the search is in the external world. Spirituality begins where science ends.
Very often scientists don't tend to have a system of values and morality. So you have many new developments in science like human cloning. What does Amma think about the new developments in science which push the areas of morality?
I do not say that all new inventions and discoveries should be suspended. But before announcing to the world, such discoveries and inventions should be properly evaluated in the light of dharma and past experience. Only if they are beneficial to the world should they be introduced. It would be nice if scientists do only that which is useful and beneficial to society by considering the majority of feelings of people. Of course, morality and right conduct must be there. Similarly, it is satachar or right conduct and dharma that are the warp and weft of society. They are what maintain the balance and harmony of our society. Our scriptures talk about these principles. Peace and harmony will prevail when these scriptural dictums are properly understood and practiced in our day-to-day life.
Economic development has seen a lot of material progress, but has also meant erosion in values. In what ways does Amma view the new economic growth in India, the globalization, the new approaches to development? And how does she feel that is affecting the lives and the value systems of people?
I do not say that material progress is not needed. It is very important as far as the social well-being of a country is concerned. However, spiritual awareness should also grow. If that is lost, then life becomes as meaningless as putting makeup on a corpse. Without spirituality, human beings will be like robots. Life will become mechanical. Along with material progress, there should be commensurate growth in spiritual awareness also. In so many countries, there are crucial unemployment problems where people are facing poverty and starvation. Even if they succeed in securing jobs and making progress in material life, they will not be able to make proper use of this progress unless they simultaneously grow in spiritual awareness. If this doesn't happen, then all the material growth that we achieve will pave the path for our own destruction. Deluded by the materialistic world of temptations, our youth have neither maturity nor a proper perspective on life. They are unable to retain their individuality. If we don't create conducive conditions for them to grow spiritually, it will not only cause a lot of harm to them, but also to society.
Is it necessary to believe in God to be a good human being and to be a compassionate, loving human being?
God is nothing but divine qualities. If a person is loving and compassionate, truthful and righteous, he is a devotee of God, though he may be an atheist. This is my opinion.
If there is a loving God, why is there so much human suffering, even if we are ignorant of God?
God is the embodiment of love, but we do not turn to Him. Hence, there is suffering in life. There are some children who may spit out even the sweetest things given to them. They don't relish the taste. Suppose a person has a secret lover besides his wife. Such a person will not appreciate his wife even if she dresses up in the most beautiful way. We have to use soap to wash away and clean dirt from our bodies. There's no point blaming the soap for not using it. Having driven the car fully drunk, If a person meets with an accident, isn't it foolish if he blames the fuel? The present suffering is a result of our indiscriminate actions and our neglect of moral and spiritual values in our lives. God is always compassionate and loving. His grace is always there. We don't have the right mental attitude to receive His grace. No matter how long we live close to a radio station, unless we tune our radios to the right frequency, we cannot hear the programs that are broadcast. As our minds are not attuned to God, we are not able to receive His grace. Not even a drop of water will go into a vessel that is kept upside down. Likewise, the ever-flowing grace of God will not enter our hearts if it remains closed. So there's no point in blaming God for our suffering.
Different religions see God differently. We have struggled in India with the issue of conversions, of people changing from one religion to the other. So what does Amma think about people from one religion changing their faith?
Amma does not support conversion. Religion is something that should be chosen freely by each individual. It is not something that needs to be forced upon people. Amma is not for it. Amma believes in the conversion of mind from darkness to light. Those who do not dive deep into the essential principles of their religion will be misled and get converted. It will lead them to greater darkness. Many religions preach about God with only one form. However, Hinduism reveres everything in creation as God. Hindu faith can be compared to mathematics. It requires a bit of intelligence and subtle understanding to grasp the true principles. Due to this lack of understanding, many are being misled and exploited. They criticize idol worship in Hinduism. However, all religions in one way or another practice image worship. The Buddhists say that they are against idol worship, but there are huge statues of Buddhas in monasteries and incense sticks are lit in front of them. The Christians light candles in front of the image of Jesus or a cross and offer prayers. The Muslims offer namaz, looking in the direction of Mecca. They extol the divine qualities of God. So worshipping of divine qualities is something common to all religions. All the forms of God and goddesses in Hinduism have a very deep inner significance, which when understood properly will remove all confusion.
All the religions preach love and compassion. What is it that people like me can do to develop real love and real compassion for other human beings and other sentient beings?
One should try to look into oneself. Then one will become aware of one's weaknesses and shortcomings. Looking into ourselves will enable us to experience beauty in the diversity, seeing the unity in everything. Sincere introspection will help us to have a thorough knowledge of ourselves, which in turn will help us learn deeper lessons from each and everything in the entire creation. We are not isolated entities. We are inseparable links of that universal chain. Though we are not aware of it, our thoughts, words and actions have an influence on others. The attitude that I will change only after others have changed is wrong. Once we change, others will automatically change. Unfortunately, we're only aware of our rights. We should also be aware of our responsibilities towards society and try to fulfill them.
In our traditions in India, we have the most sophisticated sadhanas, of yoga and of training the mind. So what sadhana does Amma suggest to people?
The same sadhana cannot be prescribed for everyone. It would be like a hotel where only a single dish is served. Only when a variety of food items are offered can the hotel cater to people with different tastes. Similarly, there are many paths: Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga. Amma prescribes the path according to that person's samskara, mental constitution, inclination, intellectual growth, mental strength, situation and time. To cite an example, for patients who are suffering from the same disease, the doctor may prescribe an injection to some, give tablets to others, and yet he gives a tonic to some others. A student who's interested in becoming an engineer has to take mathematics as his main subject. Meditation is very beneficial, but each person's mental capacity also has to be taken into consideration. For example, general tonics are good for health. It may not be beneficial or effective if we take less than the prescribed dose. Drinking the whole bottle can also be dangerous. To get the maximum benefit, we have to take the right dose. In a similar manner, even though the goal of all spiritual practice is to turn towards God or one's own true self, meditation and other spiritual practices should be performed under the strict guidance of a spiritual master.
How important does Amma feel that rituals are?
Rituals certainly have an importance of their own. To understand this better, it is necessary to know the inner significance of any ritual. Let us take the example of offering garlands to gods. Some say intellectually that this is wrong or a waste of money. But there are so many positive aspects if we look at it from a different angle. First of all, planting a flower or a tree is good for the environment. The gardener gets a job, one who transports flowers to the market also earns a living, and it is a source of income for the person who strings the garland. And finally, the devotee who offers the garland to his beloved deity or guru gets a great deal of mental satisfaction. Certain actions, though they appear illogical, are logical at another level. Parents tell their children when they are small, "You will become blind if you tell lies." This in itself is a lie. Had this been true, there would have been a score of blind people in the world. However, this so-called lie helps the child to not tell lies, and at some point he realizes the value of truthfulness. Similarly, different rituals prescribed in religious texts are meant for the spiritual upliftment of people who belong to different mental caliber. However, Amma does not support the extravagant expenses for conducting rituals such as offering costly saris, jewels and other items in a sacrificial fire. That money can be used for helping the poor and needy.
Amma has often said that the problems of many of us are because of our egos, of hurt egos, and that if we can somehow dissolve our egos, that we can be happy. What is it that we can do or practice? How can we learn to eliminate our egos?
Act and move forward, listening and accepting what our conscience tells us. We should become aware of the futility and burden of our ego. It is because we want to appear big in the eyes of others that we face so many problems and trials.
There is so much violence and so much war in the world. What is it that we can do to eliminate violence, war and weapons?
Even if we remove all nuclear weapons from our armories and transfer them to a museum, this would not mean the end to war. The real nuclear weapons are the negative thoughts of our mind which should be eliminated. This is the cause of all war and violence. War and conflict will only cease through a deeper understanding of spirituality.
Very often we as individuals feel helpless because we feel that there is very little that we can do to change the world. So how important or how able does Amma think it is for individuals to make a difference? She has made such a difference to the world, but then she is regarded as divinity. What about ordinary human beings?
We are not limited individuals. We are the Atman, the embodiments of supreme consciousness. Through a pipe connected to a water tank, we can get all the water stored in the tank. Similarly, when we learn to be humble in all circumstances, the dormant spiritual energy will fully manifest and flow unhindered into every action that we perform. We will also come face to face with our own true spiritual self. When we put forth our efforts with an attitude of humility, enthusiasm, and optimistic faith, it will certainly bring about a change in society. Our identification with our infinite individuality, the body, mind, intellect, and ego limits us. When we transcend this wrong identification, the whole world becomes our own.
നേരത്തെ ഒരു വളർന്ന സാഹചര്യം വായിച്ചുണ്ട്. അപ്പോൾ അവരൊക്കെ നോക്കിയിട്ടേ നമുക്ക് ഉപദേശിക്കാൻ പറ്റുള്ളൂ. അതുകൊണ്ട് പറയണേ അമ്മ.
Amma, you travel the world, you address the United Nations, you talk to 30 million, 40 million followers around the world. What is it that you really want to say to them? What is your message that you want them to retain and practice and follow as your devotees?
വിശ്വാസവും ശ്രദ്ധയും വിശ്വസ്തയും ശ്രദ്ധയും വളർത്തുക. അതാണ് ഏറ്റവും മൂല്യമായിട്ട് വേണ്ടത് ശരിക്കും.
The most important values that need to be practiced are faith and awareness. A person who practices these two qualities will become a benefactor to the entire world. And such people can serve the society in a much greater way than anyone else.
പക്ഷെ വേർതിരിവ് ഇല്ലാണ്ടാവുന്ന കാലത്തെ യുദ്ധം നിൽക്കുകയുള്ളു. അഥവാ നമ്മൾ യുദ്ധം നിന്നാലും ഈ മനുഷ്യൻ എവിടെ നിന്നാണ് യുദ്ധം തുടങ്ങിയ മനുഷ്യനാണെന്നാണല്ലോ. അപ്പോൾ അവന് സദാചാരങ്ങളും മൂല്യങ്ങളും മനസ്സിലാക്കി കൊടുക്കണം. അതിനുവേണ്ടി ആ തത്വങ്ങൾ ഉപദേശിക്കാനുള്ള ഇഷ്ടത്തവരിലും ആ മൂല്യങ്ങൾക്ക് കൂടുതൽ സ്ഥാനം കൊടുത്ത് പ്രചരിപ്പിച്ചാൽ നന്നായിരിക്കുന്നു.
What are the techniques and practices that we can use to undo negative karma? Our tradition believes very much in the theory of karma, of impersonal cause and effect. And assuming there isn't sort of the divine, what is it that we can individually do?
The past is like a cancelled check. Holding on to it is like hugging a corpse without letting it being buried. In a storage there will be good and bad fruits. You can choose the good ones and discard the bad ones. The storage place is not your bedroom. If you need to take something from storage, go in and take what you want and come out. Don't live there. Likewise, our past is like a storage place. Never live there. Past is the karma. If you need to go back there, it is okay, but learn to drop it and live in the present.
What does Amma feel the mission is for the rest of her life on earth?
What is the goal of the river but to flow?
And does Amma think that does she plan to take rebirth and in what form?
Rebirth has to happen here and now. Tomorrow can never become today.
So if you thank Amma and if you could give us and the audience her blessings.
Amma's blessings are always there, but you have to awaken to receive them. Grace is like sunshine. No light will enter if we keep the doors and windows closed and complain that it is dark inside. We have to open the doors of our hearts. It is easy to awaken a person who is asleep, but to awaken one who is pretending to be asleep is difficult. No matter how much advice is given, one has to awaken within to imbibe it.